We ended our last story with the opening of Pandora's jar of evils that even to this day plague our hearts and minds. But at the beginning of civilization, these evils had not yet settled and found their way into the Promethean man's soul. We begin with the first age, the Golden Age. This was an age of noble men, virgin forests, no walls, and no weapons. The earth itself provided everything abundantly, as it was in a perpetual spring. Flowers sprang up without seed, rivers of milk and wine flowed, and honey was the sap of trees. This time passed, and ushered in the Silver Age. The Second Age was not as perfect as the first, but not terrible at all. Seasons began, spring was shortened. Winter and summer created the need for housing, which began in caves and later into houses made of wood and twigs. Crops would no longer grow naturally. Men had to plant their food, and the ox had to plow. The Third Age follows. It is the Brazen Age. The Third Age was not too different from the second, but evils did start to dot the landscape. Conflict was increased, and people did fight, but society on the whole was intact, and there was still a communal spirit. Land was shared. This age is in stark contrast to the Iron Age. In the Fourth Age, crime ruled all. Modesty and truth were gone. Cunning, violence, and the love of gain satiated man's desires. Forests were laid low to make ships. The earth was partitioned off to warlords. Men began mining iron and gold, which they turned into weapons to make war upon their neighbors. Sons wanted their fathers dead so they could inherit, and familial love was absent. The world had become so terrible that all the gods left and went back to heaven. Jupiter was absolutely furious at the state the world was in. He called all the gods, and they obeyed. Their palaces line one side of the Milky Way, with the lesser beings of heaven living on the other. He told the gods he wanted to destroy the peoples of earth and replace them with a new race that would be righteous and loyal to them. So he readied his thunderbolt and was about to throw it, when suddenly he realized this might be too destructive and risk the safety of heaven. So he decided to drown the world instead. Jupiter, controlling the skies, was able to direct the northern winds to the south and created such storms that even heaven was darkened. Torrential amounts of rain caused floods and ruined crops, but he wasn't satisfied with the destruction, so he called upon his brother Neptune, who let loose the rivers and caused earthquakes that caused the ocean to cover the earth. The only people left were on hilltops, and every one of them succumbed to starvation, except for two. Jupiter was satisfied with the destruction that had taken place. Mount Parnassus was the one mountain that stood above the waves, and there, Deucalion and Pyrrha, who were Promethean of the first race of man, were safe. When every other inhabitant but they remained, Jupiter saw them and took pity on them as he remembered that they were harmless and pious. He ended the destruction by putting the winds back in their place and ordering Neptune to call back the seas. Deucalion told his wife that he wished he could remake the world as their ancestor Prometheus did, but their only hope now was to seek the counsel of the gods. He and Pyrrha went to a nearby temple that was deformed and prayed to the goddess. The oracle answered,
"Depart from the temple with head veiled and garments unbound, and cast behind you the bones of your mother."
Pyrrha was shocked, but Deucalion, with his keen perception, figured out the riddle. He told his wife, "The earth is the great parent of all. The stones are her bones. These we may cast behind us, and I think this is what the oracle means. At least, it will do no harm to try." So they did as the oracle said, and then casted stones. Up out of the earth came the new people to inhabit the earth. The slime around them became flesh, the stone became their bones, and the veins remained veins. Those thrown by Deucalion became men, and those thrown by Pyrrha became women.